Hello, my name is Amos Tarfa, and I'm the author of Tools for Mastery Mathematics, as well as the Counter to Calculus Math Curriculum Framework, which I'll talk about in this video a little bit. But basically, I love math, I love science, I love the history and philosophy of math and science, and I want every student to do calculus. That's part of my sort of bare minimum. Why? Because it's beautiful. Nothing else. Just because it's beautiful. Just because it brings everything together. And that's what the Counter to Calculus framework does, is I basically provide students with the most efficient math curriculum pathway from basic counting all the way to calculus in as little as 1 year if they're really dedicated, right? But part of what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to build a team. I would love to build a network of educators from around the world who also have a passion for raising the next generation of scientists, mathematicians, and thinkers. And so if you want to join this community, that's part of what the STEM Excellence Community Program is about. We're going to try and meet, with this regular rhythm, not too much time. I understand that teachers are very busy. But what I'm going to do on my part is I'm going to be releasing regular videos to encourage teachers, to encourage parents, to encourage students to learn math and science well. I have a lot to learn, of course, but I have spent a lot of time studying math curriculum as well as doing some work in curriculum design and professional development, and that's something I also have available for schools. If I could be a resource to your school, I'll be more than willing to come along. I've studied the works of Isaac Newton, Leonard Euler, James Clerk Maxwell, their background and how they did some of what they did, or just some of their the impact they made in the world of science and mathematics. I was just at Cambridge University over the July, August. It was mostly in August, but I had the opportunity to visit Isaac Newton's birthplace and then also just learn more about the work of James Clerk Maxwell in setting up the Cavendish Laboratory. Because the Cavendish Laboratory is one of the most interesting things in the history of science, right? You have this lab in Cambridge University. It's the physics department of Cambridge University. And you have 30 Nobel laureates that have come out of the Cavendish Laboratory. It's like, what are these people doing? Like, it's not just the water they're drinking. There's something else going on, right? And so I tried to trace down who, we knew that Maxwell started it, but what was Maxwell's vision? And what really hit me is when I looked at James Clerk Maxwell and when I read a little bit of his 1871 inaugural address, it gave me a little more insight into why the Cavendish Laboratory is very exceptional. By the way, there's another exceptional lab called the Royal Institution, which is in London. So that one is Michael Faraday. You might have heard of Michael Faraday. So you have Michael Faraday and James Clerk Maxwell. Between the two of them, we're talking about 35, 40 Nobel laureates from these labs. What is going on in these labs? What kind of mindset do they have? And what if we borrowed that mindset or brought it down to elementary school, middle school, and high school and taught students like that? That's what I would love to see. That's my quest, right? I'm a man on a quest, trying to find the best methods for math and science instruction and then providing it to the masses. That's what STEM Excellence is about. The community of scholars at STEM Excellence involves people that really mean business, people that really want students to understand math and science and to understand it well. I have a passion and a heart for education in general, in helping young people be who they were created to be, but I have a specific interest in math and science, and we could talk about that actually. Why? Why do I care about math and science excellence? Well, one, right from when I was in elementary school at Air Force Primary School in Victoria Island, Lagos, all the way to Federal Government College in Lagos, I've always been excited about just learning about the world that God has made. Then I went to the university, I studied chemistry, and I had a minor in philosophy, which is an interesting dynamic, right? And that's part of the type of students we want to have, right? Quick note, James Clerk Maxwell and Isaac Newton did well in philosophy as well. There might be something to be said about philosophy being taught to scientists, and that's part of my passion in life, is teaching philosophy and history and philosophy of science to students. So I've loved math and science, but then it's this idea of putting it together with apologetics that I think is really cool. John Lennox does this from Oxford University. You might know John Lennox, Dr. John Lennox. Okay, so what do we do from here? We need a sort of a way to encourage one another to grow in our skills in education. That's part of what the STEM Excellence community is about. We have a podcast opportunity. We have an iTunes and Spotify channel. We also have, so we'll be releasing those regularly. I'm going to be interviewing guest speakers. I'm going to be releasing some videos from my visit to Isaac Newton's home, as well as Isaac Newton's college, Trinity College. I'll be talking more about Trinity College because that's actually one of the main colleges that people know about when they talk about top mathematicians mathematicians and scientists. For example, Srinivasa Ramanujan was at Trinity College. James Clerk Maxwell, Isaac Newton, Ernest Rutherford, on and on. The list goes on, right? So we're going to study what are the methods that have produced some of these top scientists. Now, some of these people were already exceptional before they showed up. And so we have to look at elementary school principles. I've studied some of the work of Singapore. I'm going to be studying more about the country of Singapore because they have very good math curriculum. So imagine if we can make these strategies available to everybody. There's no excuse then for anyone to say, well, I didn't have a great math experience in high school. Well, why don't you use these resources to enrich your learning? So STEM education, STEM excellence community for educators, parents, and students to grow in the skills involved with excellence in math and science. There's one more thing I want to say about STEM excellence. Well, actually, what would be interesting is if you were to take engineers and have them engineer our math curriculum, we'll be doing just fine, right? Because they have this idea of reverse engineering. So part of what STEM excellence talks about is we actually train students. I'll show you a little secret. We train students in the 7 math, the 7 modules. I have a short video I've made on this before, but I'm going to go through this again. The first module is arithmetic. Every student should learn arithmetic. Actually, we can work our way up this way. So every student should learn arithmetic. So the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, we want to make sure we have a solid base. And then we do pre-algebra, right? Fractions, decimals, percents, ratios, proportions. So you do arithmetic, you do pre-algebra, you work your way into algebra 1 and algebra 2 together. This business of doing algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2, it's got to stop. This has got to stop. There is no reason why students should be doing algebra 1, taking a break and doing geometry and then algebra 2. And I apologize, I know some schools do that. I'm not trying to bash any school, but I really think we need to pause and ask, what are we doing? Especially when these students are taking 3 months off in the summer. So they do algebra 1, take 3 months off, do geometry, take 3 months off, and then do algebra 2. That's just too inefficient. What if we just did algebra 1 and 2, try and do them as quick as possible back to back, and then do geometry and trig. So then we do geometry and trig. Okay? And then we move into pre-calc. And I'm really sorry this is looking messy. I have a neat version on my channel, Counting to Calculus. And then you move your way from pre-calc, and then you move into calc 1 and calc 2, and then do statistics and discrete math. Guess what? You can do all of this in K-12 education. Like this is not common in any school in America, but this is what we want for every student in America. Why? Because if you have statistics, calculus, calculus 2, and discrete math covered, there's almost no profession that you will be limited. You have no limits, really. You could go into any profession you want. So in the STEM excellence community, we really mean excellence here. We want every student to get to the highest levels that they can in mathematics and science. There's more to be said about the science side, but just think of this as an introduction to the math side. In the science side, we encourage students to do chemistry and physics and physical science combined, as well as biology, life science, anatomy, and physiology. So they're going to get all they need for their math and their science, and then let the rest, when they get to college, they can decide what they want to do. But we try to help kids figure out what they want to do earlier on. So anyways, this is a reverse engineering. We know we want to do statistics, discrete math, calc 1 and calc 2. So let's reverse engineer everything back. Let's stop this summer break for 3 months. We don't need to be doing that either. We can get tools to families. Families, we really need to change the trajectory. Like there is fire on the mountain right now in American education in the sense that students are behind. They need to be brought up to speed. This is part of why we need an army of educators to get on board with the STEM excellence approach. I'll say a couple of things and then I'm done. Jonathan Haidt's new book is out, The Anxious Generation, How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. This is why we need to have educators that have a mindset of transforming the lives of the young people they work with. That's what that book is about. And then lastly, we teach math history, we teach math applications as a part of this journey because we want our students to have a well-rounded education. This is the Math Counting to Calculus Framework book itself, one of the main resources. So we have all these resources. We want to educate people on how to use them to raise the next generation of scientists and mathematicians. There is no excuse for any child in America to feel like they can be behind in their math and science experience because we're going to have educators who are spread around the country focused on raising the bar in science and math. That's what we're about here at the Learning Institute for Excellence. And I hope you will join us in this journey. Join the STEM education community, STEM excellence community, and reach out to Amos the Math Guy at gmail.com if you have any questions. Take care and have a blessed day.